Hey there, welcome back to Family Wrench. We're going to be doing the front brakes on the 2011 RAV4, Toyota RAV4, the rotors and the pads. In this case, these rotors and pads have done their service, and we're going to change them out. So let's get started. So the first thing we're going to do is actually spray some penetrant around the hub right here, where the hub and the rotor meet. This thing's rusted. I've already tried to take it off actually once, and I wasn't successful. So we're gonna spray. A good friend of mine gave me a little bottle of this Croil, Aero Croil. You can get Croil oil. We're gonna try it and see if it helps. I'm gonna put a little mask on too, because I just want to be a little extra careful. Yep. Yeah, not a whole lot of pressure in there anymore, but it's getting in there nonetheless. Okay, so this gonna stink anyway. That'll sit there while we're doing what we're doing. So the next thing what we're gonna do next is actually turn the steering wheel so that we can get to this a little bit. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to release caliper so we can pull the pads off. And these are 14 millimeter bolts. All right, that's one. And we have had this off once. Oh, that's right. Okay, I got to go get a 17 millimeter for that. I was lucky on the first one, but this one you got to hold. All right, and I found out too, you might need a wrench. Well, my Craftsman wrench is too wide to fit in there, but the Husky is okay. All right, and it does that. We should just be able to roll this out pretty quick like that. One. Oops, got it. We're gonna set these aside for later. There's supposedly a trick we can do with these. We're gonna see if it works. I'm gonna put them in my bucket for now. So. Yep. And there's also on this Toyota, I don't know if you can see this, there is a, I don't know if I can see it. I need some more light. Oh, it's right here. This little guy right here. It's going to make it a little easier for us to find a place for this caliper. They don't give you a lot of brake hose here, which I guess is fine. There's our garage cat. She's always around. It's funny how the girl is around here more than the guy is.
She also took my spot.
That's hilarious. Okay, so.
My spot. You took the cameraman spot. We're good.
I'm gonna put this caliper. I always like using a bucket. But you can sometimes you can use a coat hanger or some kind of hook or something like that to hook it, whatever. It doesn't matter. Just don't let that brake line get stressed and you'll be a lot happier. All right, so next thing is these slide pins. I already know it. Oops. They are way too hard to move, and we'll see the evidence of the fact that they aren't moving very well here in a second. Pull this out. When I, pull these pads off. All right, probably want to be ginger with that boot. I don't think I was too careful with the first one. But my goodness sakes, that thing is really in there. These are supposed to slide. Even moving the steering wheel. Wow. Okay. That, no good. It's too caked up, it's thick. We're gonna have to clean that up. Okay, can you see here? You see how this pad has less on it than this one does? Okay, it's slight, but you can actually kind of see by this little gap here. I'll pull it out. Look at that. That guy is definitely done. This is definitely needed for this poor little car. So if you put these together, I don't know. From where I'm sitting, you can kind of see how there's less here than there is here. So since this caliper can't move freely because of these pins being goopy, it's gonna wear this side first. Okay, so that's gotta be taken care of. Next thing we're gonna do is remove this bracket, and there are two 17mm bolts that hold it on right here. They're the bigger bolts. All right, you can kind of see how it, in this case, it threads into the bracket. All right, we're gonna leave that there for a sec while we work this. See, having this turn this way makes this action a lot easier. So it's not bad, but it's in there pretty good. It's tight. All right, no fair dropping heavy metal objects on your foot here. All right, I'm gonna do this. You don't have to do this, we don't have that many parts, but sometimes this is a great way not to lose a part. It's just to screw it in where it goes. All right, so next, I might inspect this CV boot while we're at it. It looks pretty good. Not part of the job, but always, you know, when you start taking stuff off, it's good to start looking at what you got, what you dealing with. So the next thing we're gonna do is take this rotor off. So I don't know if I can, well, a little bit. The key has to be in it for it to go straight. We're gonna straighten this up now so that we can hammer this rotor off of here. Okay, so these are the bolts that hold the caliper on. And there is some information on the internet that says that these sometimes will work right here. Toyota does it such that the rotor has these two threaded holes that you can put bolts in, and once that hits the hub, then you can like half turn, half turn, half turn, half turn, and pop it off. We're gonna try that, but these bolts actually don't fit in this case. So that's what we found. Maybe other Toyotas are different, but surprisingly, and I swear these cannot be metric threaded, but these seem to fit. And by the way, this looks easy, but it wouldn't have been easy because it was rusted pretty good. So we're gonna try this, and you're gonna find out as soon as we find out as to whether this works. And they're so rusted that I'm kind of working it. I don't know, this is just the way I do it. I'm working it in there. I checked the threads, and it seems like the threads are about the same. So, you know, we're not gonna reuse this part anyway. So this is a nice time.
Only do this type of experimentation with a part that you're not. Oh.
You know what? That thing popped right off.
Oh my gosh, we actually got that.
I hammered on this and hammered on it and hammered on it the other day. That did it. That did. See those?
Okay, so yeah, this definitely works.
Yeah.
Great
tip. And these are just, I don't know, Home Depot. I don't even know what I bought these things for. I just found them in my stuff.
You can see the implant.
Yeah, sure enough.
Right there.
It got it. It popped it right off. That was easy. Very easy.
That wasn't even with like an actual wrench, or without an actual like ratchet.
I should have used a ratchet to made that easier, but whatever. That is a happy, not accident, but that's a happy day. So, one of the next things we're going to have to do, and maybe that coil helped too, because they say that it rusts. The worst rust spot is right here around the hub. So, whatever the case, I am so happy right now. Didn't have to beat it off. We're gonna need to clean this surface up. And there is a really good reason why you need to do that. the brakes run on a very tight tolerance. I actually don't know what the Toyota tolerance is, but maybe 1,000th, maybe 2,000ths. But just imagine that you had a little piece of something here and you got it bare over here. You're actually going to tilt that rotor out ever so much, right? And so it's going to go around as it rotates. You might have this. You might think, that rotor's warped, and it's not the rotor's fault. It's the fact that this surface wasn't clean. So we're going to clean this surface next with a wire brush. All right, so I got 2 different types of wire brushes. I got them from Rock Auto.
I can't see.
Oh, can you see now?
Yep.
Got them from rockauto.com. I get a lot of parts from there. And the reason why I got, and by the way, we can post links or at least part numbers to everything that we bought for this particular vehicle and why we chose them as well. But I got 2 different sizes because, I'm looking online. I didn't even know that this thing was this big. It might be too big, but I wanted a big one and a small one because I figured, I'm going to have to do some fine work with the small ones and some rough work with the big one. I don't know. We're just going to see. We're going to see what it takes and what works the best. So off we go.
He was a maniac,
All right, so we calculate a little less than 15 minutes, with the wire brush, that wire brush, this wire brush here, and a little bit of sandpaper to get the rust off of this part of the hub. And so it feels good. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it does need to be flat. So we're done with that. Next thing we're going to do is put on this Brembo. I think that's what it is, a Brembo disc or a rotors. And I bought these because they are, at least from what my research said, they're OEM grade, Toyota OEM grade, and I think Brembo does make parts for Toyotas in some cases. So anyway, that's what we got, like 60 bucks a pop. So not bad, really. And you can tell they look good. Now, the thing about putting on a new rotor, though, if you ever wonder, how in the world can you have bare metal and it's not rusting? And the answer is it's got a coating on it, and you got to get it off of there, or this will not brake properly, and that would be bad. So we're going to have to put some brake clean on it. Have to get ourselves a spot figured out and clean these things off. Okay, so here we are. I'm going to start taking care of this guy. I'm going to put on a mask because I don't like the way this stuff smells. I know a lot of people, they just spray it, but try to be somewhat careful with this stuff. This can is almost out. I think it is out. Okay. Yep, that one's gone. All right. Get a good. Okay, so next we're going to put the brake caliper on, but before we do that, I'm going to do some cleanup because of this goopy old grease in here, paste or whatever it is. So we're going to go back out there and use a little brake cleaner and see if we can clean these up and get them sliding the way they should. All right. Yeah, I just can't get anything out of that one. Okay, so I found something as I was putting this back together, or attempting to. These two pins are different, at least on this model, and this one has a little rubber gasket around it, and the other one is a little bit longer. It's a little bit different, just a shade longer. So I couldn't remember where, which holes they came out of, so I had to actually pull apart the other side. And in this case, the shorter one goes on the bottom, and the longer one goes on the top. So we're going to grease these with Seal Glide brake lubricant. It's I'll show you right here what we got. Any silicone brake lubricant would probably be fine, but that's what you want here. You want silicone. You don't want the brake grease and stuff like that. That's what goops up on you. Silicone. So we'll put that on next. Put on a generous amount. I'm just going to make sure that I got this right. So that goes on. So this goes on the bottom. We're going to put that in gingerly if we can. Oh. All right. This one's actually not working right, so we're going to go out. This is what you do, but apparently we didn't get this one clean enough, so we're going to go clean it, and we probably won't shoot that, but you do want them. That's what you want right there. You want them to move real good. This one's getting stuck, so I'm going to have to clean it some more. Okay, so we're about to install the rotor, but before we do that, we need to spray this down with some brake parts cleaner. Okay. Now we put this on again. Next thing we're going to do is put this caliper bracket on. We found that this lower slide doesn't slide as freely because of the little rubber gasket that's around it. If you take it off, it'll slide like this one. If not, then it's different. And so it must be that that's the way the engineers wanted it. So I'll put this guy back on. It's good to, you kind of have to find it in here. All right, get one in there, don't tighten. You're gonna need to be able to move the bottom side of it around. And finger tighten seems to work pretty good to get it on. Alright. These are 17mm bolts again. So I'll get the 17mm out. Get this snugged. Top and on the bottom. Okay. All right. So the next thing we're going to need to do is push this piston in, but before we do that, we're going to want to clean the outside of this guy, because if we don't, we're going to be pushing dirty. We're going to push dirt inside this caliper and it'll shorten the life of it. So we're going to clean that up next, and then we'll push the piston in. The other thing is put the brake cleaner on the rag in this case. More controlled. All right. Yeah, they look good. Okay, so next, I'll get my compression tool and we'll push that caliper in. Okay, so we're gonna push this back in. This is a simple tool. For this kind of caliper, it just presses in. Some of them, of course this is for the Toyota RAV4, so apparently it's not like this, but some of them will be a kind of a screw type. There's different tools for that. I don't have that to show, but this is what we're gonna do. This is what we have here, so we're gonna compress this. So you have to take an old brake pad, stick it in there. You have to crank this down to wherever it'll fit. And then I would just kind of make sure it's centered, but it should be okay. And you just kind of push it back. Now what this is gonna do is, you imagine this piston is gonna be pushing fluid back up the hose, and it's gonna find its way back into the reservoir. So you might want to be mindful if you have topped off your brake fluid. Compressing calipers may give you more than you bargained for. And basically what you do is it's pretty easy turn until it's not, and then you're done. So now the caliper or the piston is pushed all the way in so that when we put the new brake pads on, it'll slide right on. All right, so we're now to the point where we're going to put the brake pads on. The hardware that came with this particular kit does not seem to fit on this caliper. So I popped these off and cleaned them up and put them back on, the existing ones. So what we got were the Akebono Pro Act brake pad OEM. Came highly recommended from the research that I did. So of course we'll have links. We'll have a link to this particular one if that's what you want to get. But I don't know why the brake clips don't work. Make any sense to me. So maybe somebody can tell me what I missed. What this is gonna do, of course I haven't lubricated this yet, and we will. But yep, there you go. It's just like that. Right, and it's got the hardware on the back of it. So let's lubricate these guys. I'll get set up and then we'll do that. I'll show you how to do that. So we're gonna lubricate 3 areas, and you need to be careful with this. You do not want to get it on the rotor. What I'm using is copper anti-seize. And we're gonna lubricate the brake tabs just enough. The sliding parts are gonna be right here, right? Because that's what's gonna click in. I think that's probably plenty. So get this other side here. All right. Don't want it on the surfaces. Don't want to get any grease or anything on the surfaces. Anything that's slippery.
That'd be bad.
That would be bad. Okay, and then the brake hardware. It needs to be able to move through there. Yep, that looks good. And I need to make sure that I watch what I'm doing here. That's actually kind of hard to see. Put this brake pad down here for a second. And make sure that I don't overdo it. I don't want to get it on the rotor. Okay, and then you want to get it on the back of the brake.
Why?
Prevents squeaks. You'll normally see they will have gooped it on there, gooped something on the backs. And I also need to make sure you'll get stuff on your fingers. So you might want to change your gloves out. Whatever the case is, you don't want to get, anything on this surface and that surface. I just touched that. We'll clean that up with the brake cleaner. Since I did that. All right. So
Spot right there.
All right. So you tilt that thing like this. Pop it in. Yep. All right. Go get a towel. Okay, so next we're going to put the caliper back on. And so I got my bolts ready. Lift this guy up around here. Now, you may have to push in the slide pins a little bit for this to go in there. If you compress that cylinder, piston, I should say, then you shouldn't have any trouble getting this on here. Famous last words. Oh, yeah. If you got a light in the way, then you might have trouble. Hold, please. Okay. Yeah, you do have to push these slides in a little bit. All right. Okay, so it's basically in place. Take your bolt, get the liner up, get it in that slide pin. So, and again, get these guys lined up. You should be. Sometimes you have to wiggle stuff and move it and all that kind of stuff. Don't let it, you gotta tell it where you want it to go sometimes. All right. 25 foot-pounds probably on the bolts here. these are turning. Actually, that one didn't turn. But you should always make sure, a little trick here, you can kind of torque against 2 wrenches. That's good and tight there. And this. All right. Yeah, I think that feels good. All right.
And then just the last one on the back.
Now, that's right. You got this one. We take this off to relieve some pressure on there. I'll turn my light back on because there's a tab that you have to kind of be aware of that this goes into. Yeah, I don't know if you can see that. This little tab goes into a hole. The tab goes boop in there. It's pretty easy to see when if you look at it. This is also a 14 millimeter. So that'll go in. Okay. I get the idea. And then snug. Plenty snug. That's plenty snug. All right. So, look at my notes. Brake tower, we lubricated the brake tabs, the brake hardware, the back of the brake pads, the guide pins, smooth, clean, and rust-free, silicone paste. And then, you know what? This side, other than putting the wheel on it, is done. Now, one thing that you need to know, and we will surely show this, is that this piston is so far in that you won't have brakes yet. You have to go inside and press the brake pedal down to the floor several times before you get brake pressure again. So just be aware of that. Make sure that you put brake pressure back on the caliper before you go drive it. So what we've done is pushed old brake fluid back up into the reservoir here. It's kind of cool because what we can do is pop this off and suck some of that out. We'll put fresh in. And I'm going to show you how to do this. We haven't done both sides. We'll do this again later. And we'll suck out as much as we can so that when we put new in and then we bleed the brakes, we're going to have a lot more fresh brake fluid in here than we would have had. And they say to make sure to clean up this cap because you don't want to knock any dust in there, and that's what I'm doing with this rag. This just pops off, by the way. It doesn't unscrew or anything. Like that. And there's a little filter down in there. There's always usually some kind of a catch there. So we're going to put together our tool to vacuum out, and we'll show you how that works.
So what is this?
Okay, so this is helping us when we brake bleed, but we're going to suck out the old .3 from this reservoir, and I did have to pull out a little strainer in order for this hose to go down in here. But with this vacuum, I don't know if you can see all this contraption, but basically, I don't know if you can see it coming out, but once I start pulling the vacuum on it, you'll see the fluid, and it'll drop down into that little catch. There'll probably be only so much that we can actually do this way, but by sucking out this fluid from the top, I don't know if I said this already, but when we bleed the brakes, now you don't probably want to pull everything out. I don't want to put air in the system. Okay, that's probably pretty good. Wow, I pulled a lot out. That did. I pulled a lot out. So that's going to be a significant help. We bleed the brakes, we're going to know that we've got new, fresh fluid .3 through the whole system. All right, so there you have it. Brake job on one side of a Toyota 2011 RAV4. Do the other side, do the same things, and make sure to pump your brakes before you go out. and make sure to clean those rotors, because those are two of the biggest things there to make sure you don't get into an accident. People do it. So hope you enjoyed it. Hope it was helpful. Please like, subscribe, comment, let us know what you thought. And we're not professionals, so if you want to give us advice, happy to hear it. See you later.